G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Fon Supercoach. Today we will be reviewing round 4, going through the talking points going into round 5 and some trade strategy for this week. So pretty good week for me, scored 2,049, moved up to about 9,000 rank, up from 21,000, so that was pretty good. And yeah, let's get into the team. So this is what I went with. Zoom in a bit, last week. So I ended up taking Gorn on the Friday. But yeah, let's get into it. So Dane Zorko, he was quiet. I considered captaining Dane Zorko despite Gorn's 122, but there were some rumours that were obviously very untrustworthy going around that he would be rested after three-quarter time if they were up big, which I think most people expected Brisbane to be. So that was part of the reason why I took the captain off him. Obviously, as I said, those rumours weren't trustworthy. However, they did kind of make sense to me in my head. We've already seen Adelaide do it with Rankin. I think they'd done it with Laird before this game. GWS did it the next day with Brent Daniels. It's happening already in these big blowout wins. Not that this was a blowout in the end, but they were still up comfortably and they could have taken him off. So that's why I didn't go with the C with Dane Zorko. He'll be fine. He'll be back to scoring this week, although I don't love Norwood for halfbacks. Bailey Dale was really good. Not much to say with this pick. Just scores in bursts and scores really well. Generally a good user, so that was awesome. Tom Stewart, boy, did I deserve that. I deserved a little bit more, so that was excellent. I'm still a little bit concerned about Stewart. He doesn't look 100%. He's not intercepting too much. The Melbourne game plan was just, I think they allowed 145 uncontested marks. So all the Geelong defenders scored really well. So it is what it is, but it was nice to get a good score. We'll see how he goes again this week. We'll talk about trades later, but if you're looking to trade him in, this break-even is still really high, 163. So I would be waiting another week on Tom Stewart. Matt Roberts, we'll talk about Bice in a second, but I think he lost some of his points to Bice. Bice was just going bananas. Roberts was still fine, got a lot of the ball. Didn't have his normal damaging game. I'm not worried about Roberts at all, particularly with Collingwood next. Port has historically been bad for halfbacks. I think that's no more, just based on the start of the season. And then I have a feeling the Suns are still going to be good for halfbacks for scoring. So next 3 games are really good. There's not too many poor games in here. So pretty happy with Roberts until his bye. Bright in play. Trainer, 82. Can't believe we got this score from Trainer. Absolutely wrapped. Had to field him anyway. So there was no luck bot getting him on field. But yeah, absolutely wrapped to see that. That was awesome. And then Riley Bice, boy, he got to pick 44 last year in the draft. I can think of a lot of teams right now. There's probably 17 other teams who'd be looking at him and saying, gee, how did we let him go? Gee, he was good. He was intercepting. He had some kicks that were just unbelievable, outside of the boot, 45-degree angle kicks going inside forward 50. He was awesome to watch. Super, super talent. I think you can actually go him still after this price rise. Obviously, it gets a little bit riskier, but I would be willing to do that if I didn't own him. And then Reed didn't play. Brayshaw was really good, 135. He was awesome. I think he kicked 1 goal, set up a bunch. Didn't have extremely high volume of disposals like Sarong did, but he was really good. And then so was Dawson. Dawson's always good. Just scores in every way, so that was terrific to see. Petrarca, probably the only pick at the moment that I'm really disappointed in. Melbourne have, I think, Essendon. Frere's a tough one, but then they have Richmond and West Coast. So I'm obviously going to hold him for those games. It also looks like he's going to get forward status. I have a strong feeling there's going to be more mid-time next week. The scenes after the game, I'm sure everyone's seen them. He was pretty dejected, and that screams to me a player who's marching into the coach's office on Saturday or Sunday morning and saying, put me in the middle. So, yeah, that was... he had all of our scores at one point, I think. So, yeah, Petrarca was really good in spite of having... His role's so bad at the moment, just unbelievable. But He's on track for forward status. The break-even's potentially a touch high. You could wait a week, but he is one I would firmly have my eyes on if I was looking for an upgrade this week or next. Adam Chera, he was solid again, goes missing in second halves. I don't know what the deal with that is. I guess the whole Carlton team does in second half, so it is what it is. Still pretty happy going 104. Oliver, 98. He's not at his best, but again, still happy enough with this. He's not an issue at the moment. And as I said, with Petrarca, there's some softer matchups coming up. Nathan O'Driscoll, it appears that he rolled his ankle in the third quarter. All reports are that he is probably going to play this week, so not worried about that at all. Killed his cash gen a little bit. The break-even's crept up, but has Richmond this week, Melbourne next week, so good chance to restart making some cash. I will say that Hayden Young is, I think, back this week, so O'Driscoll probably loses his CBAs. But yeah, he can still score on the wing, so that's fine. And then Henderson, had to field this week, obviously, because my bench is all injured. He started off all right, had one bad clanger, but really faded out of the game. I'm still confident that he holds his spot. As I've said before, easier matchups coming up. He's far from Melbourne's biggest issue at the moment. He's generally pretty clean. Again, had a couple of bad clangers, but the right idea. It was pretty hard being a forward in Melbourne's forward line on Friday night. The game plan was one of the worst you've ever seen. So I think they'll give him another go. It wasn't he's probably the third in line forward that I would drop. I'm still dropping, probably fourth even. I'm still dropping Sharp, Fritsch and Van Rooyen over him. Obviously, Fritsch and Van Rooyen are different roles, but I think that takes a bit of the heat off him. That Goodwin's not going to roll out a new forward line next week, you would think, like in 4 or 5 different players. Moraes was quiet. I still like Moraes. He's got a tough one this week in Hawthorn, I think he'll hold, but yeah, the 43 is pretty brutal, although his break-even's still quite low, so should be able to make a little bit more cash. It is what it is. Lindsay is a test for this week. I have a feeling he won't get up for this match, but he's not far away, and definitely hold if you've got him. Sardis should be playing this week. Fingers crossed. Again, Melbourne, easy matchup, should be able to score. And then Mitch Nevitt, I don't know what the go with this is. I don't think he's on the injury list. I'm not sure he's actually injured. I'm guessing he was managed. So maybe he plays this week. That'd be really good. Not sure. He's one that I may look to trade this week. But as I said, we'll get into trades later. But I won't look to move him on if he's only 1 week away, for example. Then Gawn, he was fine against Stanley. Stanley played pretty well, I will say. But Gawn is looking a little bit... It just looks laborious for him. It looks like he's working really hard for all these possessions. There was also a moment in the first quarter where Gawn was coming across the front of the pack, and he would normally just clunk a mark there, but he went to punch instead. I think he is down a little bit on confidence as well, so it is concerning. Because of Cherry's injury, I don't feel like I have been punished, and ironically, I think that Flynn R2, even though Flynn hasn't been playing, was still the way to go, and if you carried Flynn all the way through to the end here, I actually think you're in a decent spot, although it would have been nervy. So yeah, the ruck line's really weird this year. A lot of that's because Cherry's hamstring injury, which is still there even though he's playing. It's pretty obvious. But yeah, very fortunate for me as a non-owner, and sucks if you did own, because I got this pick wrong this year. Should have had Cherry. But it is what it is. Sometimes the luck goes your way. De Koning was fine. I don't think Pitternet will come in against West Coast, and if he does, it's not really a problem anyway, but I don't think Pitternet is far away. Like, he probably plays in this game against North, if I had to guess. I'm just saying that it's a little bit cut off on the side here, but probably not in this game. So I think Pitternet is going to come in occasionally, but I'm still willing to hold De Koning through those because I think it's going to be pretty rare. And De Koning can still score with pinch hitting Ruck, so I'm not worried about that. McRae was fine. I don't think he got any attention, but, you know, you take 100. We've been so spoiled with McRae's scores that this feels kind of bad, but for a forward, if that's the floor, then that's awesome. And then Jason Horne-Francis making the traders pay. He was awesome. He had 3 goals before halftime, absolutely dominated. Was really good to see that, even though Port lost, which I was concerned about. So I'm hoping he is fired up next week and we can get another big score out of Horn Francis. Smith was good. I thought he would go a bit larger. I thought he was a sort of a 120 plus this week against a weak Melbourne midfield, but all the points were in Geelong's defence this week, so it is what it is. And then Daniel, he was fine, 92. We take that. Marriage. So Marriage was really good early and then got a lot of points from scaling throughout the game because the game was dead. I think this pick is an absolute smash, if I'm being honest. Like, tough matchup, still goes 88. He's got Carlton this week, which should be easier. Like, this pick is so good. And over Humphrey, like, it was only 14 points, I think, in the end this week. But I'm still pretty rapt that I was 24. Yeah. I think in Supercoach, an average player in a really good role, so for example, Marriage, is always a better bet than a good player in a really bad role, Humphrey. So that was my logic for going Marriage over Humphrey. And it looks like it has paid off this week. But again, Humphrey has North this week, who were terrible this week just gone. So it'll probably be another big score for Humphrey. I don't think Humphrey will be a bad pick by any stretch of the imagination. He just might be one that you have to cash in a bit earlier, as opposed to Marriage, who I think you can hold until probably your last upgrade. Davidson. I thought Davidson was good, but just had a lot of clangers, so it is what it is. I've got a little bit of a F6 debacle this week, but I'm hoping that's going to be my lowest score, but we'll talk about that later. Powell Pepper, I ended up holding over Hewitt, and I got repaid with a 74, so that was great. Break even is 20 because he had a stinker last week, but it is what it is. Hopefully he gets up for this Hawthorn game. I think he's building into it. Like, in the first half of this week, he dropped a lot of marks, like looking pretty rusty. But as I said, I think he's building into it. If I get a big game against Hawthorn, I'm going to be wrapped because the fixture, I think, is pretty good after that. Sydney at the SCG is probably not, but I'm going to take that back. It's not great afterwards. Looks like Port's good fixture is gone, so that is what it is. And then Max Hall just keeps ticking along. I think his job security is still pretty good. Who do the Saints have this week? GWS at Norwood. I don't know what Norwood's going to be like for a lot of the players in this game this week. Norwood's a very strange oval. We'll talk about that in a sec, but yeah, Hall was fine. And then Levi, 87. It's what you expected against Richmond, I think. A bit of a beat up. So that was good to have on field. Not that I had any other options. So that was really good. Trades this week. So as it stands, I am not making a single trade this week. And we can discuss why. So firstly, let's go to low break-evens first. Yep. So the one here there's two that I'm sort of interested in. Clay Hall, I think, comes out of the team. I thought Yo was closer, but I think his job security isn't great. And I'm a little bit concerned about his very high reliance on contested ball. Normally that's a good thing, but he gets no outside ball and his ratio is very Supercoach friendly. That could be a good thing. If I'm downgrading out of the midfield, I will probably go here anyway. But it is... I'm still very iffy on this. For someone with a minus 78 break even, I am very iffy on this. Also, as I said, if you don't have bias, I think you can still get him this week in flex or D5, D6, whatever. I think he's worth paying for. The other one I'm interested in is Dudley, which sounds a bit weird, but Freo's run is pretty good. It's Richmond this week. He should feast. Then he's got Melbourne, should feast. Adelaide at Perth should be another decent matchup. Then like St Kilda at Marvel, Collingwood, it's getting tougher by this point. But when you're that cheap, you don't have to do much to score. To make money. So that's okay. You don't have to score much to make money. So if he goes 50s from here, he's going to make enough money that he's a good trade in. So that's one that I've got my eye on. I don't think Switkowski replaces him, but I could be wrong. We'll see at selection. And then, looking ahead, the only other ones I'm interested in are Brock. I should talk about Travaglia. So Brock and Cleary, the other ones. Travaglia, I'm getting a bad feeling about. Here's why. GWS, Western Bulldogs, Brisbane, Freo, 4 tough games in a row. He's playing predominantly wing. I'm not sure what Marvel's like for wings. I'll talk about Norwood in a second when I talk about I'll probably leave that for captain's options. No, let's talk about it now. So Norwood is a very skinny, short ground. It's like an under 9s ground. I can't imagine that is good for outside players. So who plays there this week? I know obviously the Giants and I have to go here. So the Giants and so the Saints play here, and then the Dogs and Brisbane. So you're probably not looking to captain your Dales, your Zorkos, your Sinclairs, your Whitfields this week. And for rookies, you're a little bit concerned about Travaglia and Levi Ashcroft probably this week. Maybe Ashcroft's okay anyway. He's a capable contested player. His role doesn't lend itself to that, but he'll probably be okay. But yeah, if you're looking for a captain this week, targeting these Norwood games is really good. Like if you've got Dunkley, this is another Dunkley C. I'd just be loading that up. You could probably straight C it. Neil's the same, could probably straight C. If you've got Libba, another good one. Tom Green. I've seen some people bring in Tom Green for this matchup in consideration. I would be going there as well. These are all good matchups. I think you can go McRae too. There's a lot of good captain's options this week, but yeah, so that's Norwood. I think that is concerning for Travaglia when the run is really bad after that as well. He's also expensive. So, for example, if you're going down from a Nevitt or a Henderson, I don't think Henderson's even down. Yeah, he's not. Oh, he is. He is just 2,000. So you're not making any money doing that. And the run is really bad for scoring. So that's my take on that. I think he's a really talented player, but I'm fading for Supercoach for that reason. That's my logic with Travaglia. Which means I am looking ahead for rookies, as I said. So Cleary and Brock are the ones on my radar. If you've got Murphy Reid or Connor O'Sullivan, by the way, great job. I'm very envious of you, first of all. Second of all, I think that the cash gen, I think these are guys you can cash in a bit earlier. Reid has a good matchup, so you might be hesitant, but Hayden Young coming back can't be good for his role. Even as good as he is, it just can't be good for his role. And then Connor O'Sullivan, obviously with Jack Henry going down, that is a massive plus for him. I think Henry's 2 to 4 weeks, might be longer. But I think Geelong's had some soft matchups for defenders. Obviously, they have another one this week with Adelaide. But I can't imagine Hawthorn's too good. Oh, and then Carlton. No, actually, I'll take that back. Maybe Connor O'Sullivan will be okay. Yeah, Collingwood. Okay, so they're the ones I'd look at, though, cashing in early. I think we've seen poor flaws with them. Obviously, the ceiling's great, and we're getting a lot of those at the moment. But they're ones that I think you can look to upgrade early, which is great because I don't really have any rookies I want to upgrade yet, which is kind of a good problem to have, but it's definitely one to be mindful of. So, yeah, that's my take on potential trade-in options for rookies. For premiums, so the 2 big talking points this week for premiums that are going to be traded out heavily, and I'm sure if I scroll down, they're up there. No, they're not in my team, so they're not there. Connor Rozee and Finn Callahan. This is why I didn't like the Rozee pick from the start. I think the floor's quite bad. Did obviously cop attention this week and last week, which is unfortunate, particularly this week with Butters back. But I think you just have to hold, to be honest. Like, as I said, Butters is back, so the attention should go to Butters now. So Rozee should be freed up. I'm concerned he gets put forward a little bit more. I don't know if the CBA numbers reflect that this week, but I have always thought that Rozee is a better forward than a midfielder. So I don't know how that plays out, but if you had no other problems, and I mean 0 other problems, otherwise I wouldn't be trading, and you haven't used many trades either, I would not be looking to trade Rozee or Finn Callahan. Callahan, I was, as I said, hesitant about Callahan as well because it's a low contested game and he doesn't tackle. Very unlucky to get a bad score against West Coast, no doubt. But that's like this Norwood Oval can't be good for him either. So, look, if you've got no other problems, I would be considering moving on from them. But otherwise, I think you've got to back him in. Particularly if you traded in Callahan, you backed this guy in. He's had one bad game. He got tagged the week before. I'm not counting that. You've got to back him in. You just have to. So I would be suggesting holding them unless you have no other problems and you've only used maybe 5 trades. Then I would consider getting rid of them. The other one I should speak about is if you have Matt Flynn at R2. So I think your man here is Briggs. 470k, low break even, tiny ground, which is good for rucks. Does have Rob the week after, who is restrictive, but then has a great matchup in English. Grundy's washed, great matchup here. That's tough. I think that should be a good matchup. And then this is a good matchup. And we're almost at his bye then. So I think Briggs is your man. You could hold Flynn another week and wait for Gawn and Cherry's break even to come down even more with their price, and then go there next week. That is a risk, obviously. But if you are looking to take a risk and you have Flynn at R2, I think there is a world where holding him again is worthwhile. I don't think he comes in this week. I think BJ Williams he's battled pretty well recently. Had the softer matchups, but he has battled well. So I think he holds. I don't think they go both of them in the same team when Jack Williams is pinch hitting in the ruck as well. So that wouldn't make sense to me. They could drop Williams and bring in Flynn, but again, that doesn't really make sense to me. So that's my thoughts on that. Let's set this up for this week. So I'm expecting Sardis to play and O'Driscoll. So I will look to Loop, Moraes and Henderson like this. If Xavier Lindsay plays, he's straight on field for Moraes. Don't care. Same with Nevitt. So I'm really watching the Geelong injury report for this. I'm going to be really upset if he's not on the injury list, Chris Scott. I know you're watching, mate. I'm going to be upset, all right? So if he's there, well, he better be there, mate. And if he's not, he better be selected. Best 22. No sub bullshit, okay? Get him in. So, yeah, that's that. I think I'm going to go Davidson here because he has proven to have the ceiling. As I said, I don't like it because Norwood's a very bad ground for outside types. Max Hall has Norwood as well against the Giants. I'm not going to lock myself into this now. So that's if I field someone different by this time next week, you'll understand why, I'm sure. And then here we need Bice on field. I think I'm going to go Pryor over Reed, but I think both are good options against Melbourne. You will want Bice on field for sure if you have him. I don't think anyone's questioning that. So that is that. Captain options, I'm going with Andrew Brayshaw, and then I don't care who else really, to be honest. I'm probably going to look for like a really silly ceiling type player with the captaincy here. I might actually just go like Petrarca into Brayshaw. That's how confident I am. I could also go... Oh, Bedford's going to tag McRae. Interesting. Having Dunkley would be nice. Hold on. TDK against West Coast. There we go. All right, so that's how I'm going to go for captains. As I said, if you have Dunkley, Neil, Libba, or Tom Green, I'd be considering them very highly. Sarong is the other one, obviously, against Richmond. I do think he's going to get some Macintosh attention. The caveat with that is I think Josh Smiley's available this week. I don't know if he played VFL last week. He'll probably go through the VFL first, if I had to guess. But that may push Macintosh back out to the wing. So that is one to keep an eye on. If that happens, that's probably good for teams playing against Richmond. There's going to be no tag threat. I think that's it. As I said, trades, I'm not looking to trade anyone. The ones on the chopping block for me are Powell Pepper and then Nevitt if he's long-term injury. I'm willing to deal with Chris Scott's BS for one more week, I think, because the talent's clearly there with Nevitt. So, yeah, that's the team. That's how I'm going. I still have 163k banked. Oh, I should talk about upgrade targets as well. Let's talk upgrade targets really quick. So we're going to go break evens. We're going to go the other way. So Flanders, I think you want to see a return to form before you go there. Cherry is coming down. I think Cherry's the same. You want to see him look like he's moving freely, attacking the ball. He's really avoiding kicking at the moment. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but he is avoiding kicking like the plague. So you want to see that return before going Cherry, I think. Rosie, not much interest. Steele's been injured too much. I have seen a little bit of Heaney. Again, I think you want to see a little bit more scoring power before going there. Zach Butters has a few weeks before he's going to come down, so I'm going to wait for that. Marshall's not going to get forward status, so if you're that way inclined for Marshall, then I'd be looking at that if you're looking for a ruckman. I find Marshall a frustrating own, so he's not for me, but each to their own. Houston, if Houston had kick-ins, this would be... Oh, he's suspended for 2 weeks anyway, but if he had kick-ins, I'd be locking and loading Dan Houston. LDU is too frustrating to consider. Oh, the Brisbane boys have 140 break-evens. That won't last after this week, you would think, unfortunately. But, yeah, they're interesting. Dane Zorko, I'm expecting another stinker score this week. So the week after next could be your one if you're missing Dane Zorko so far. Nick Martin, I do like. Essendon's fixture really opens up from here on. So Martin and Merritt's too expensive, I think, but Martin I am quite interested in. He's going to get forward status. So I want to see how he goes this week, but he's one firmly on my radar for first upgrade, as is Chad Warner. He's another one that got sort of managed. I want to see a little bit more from Chad before I go there, I'll be honest, but very interested. Gorn, I'd wait another week if you don't have and you're interested. Sicily's another one. I'm hoping he doesn't hit this break even this week because I am very interested in Sicily. Deer and Lewis were TBC last week on the injury list, so I want to get a little bit more of an idea of that before I go Sicily. However, Hawthorn's run opens up massively and I can't see him getting swung forward when he is in a winning side. So definitely considering Sicily next week. Richards is interesting. Probably would wait a week on this one. And then here's the big one. Nick Dacos has James Jordan this week and a 130 break even. So Jordan has gotten the better of Dacos many times. Now, this is obviously an extra preseason Nick Dacos. I think this week he was looking pretty sore at times, although he did pretty much win the game for Collingwood in that third quarter. So, yeah, he was terrific. Had like a 50-point third quarter, I think. So, yeah, very interested in Nick Dacos. Sydney this week has James Jordan. Break-even's probably going to go up. Brisbane the week after, tend not to tag him. And then we've got Essendon, Geelong, Freo. Like, I don't think these teams are going to tag. Geelong maybe. Essendon maybe with Durham. I'm not sure. Sorry, my mic died. I'll cut that out of the video. But, yeah, Nick Dacos very interested in. So, yeah, he'll be good. Clark has a break-even on 130. I wasn't big on Clark in the preseason, but I think I like what I see now. There's absolutely no ball going through Luke Ryan. So, yeah, I do like Clark. And then the other one I kind of want to talk about is Darcy Cameron as a pod ruck option. I don't hate this pick for what it's worth. I don't know how much Cox will come in and affect him, but I don't hate that pick at all. And then these break-evens probably not considering on the horizon. So, yeah, that's the... I'll go back to the team. That's the review. That's my thoughts on strategy this week and trades. Let me know how you went. I think generally this week was pretty good. I did not have Rosie though, so... Oh, I guess Isaac Rankin. I feel sorry for the Crows. They seem to get robbed a fair bit, but Isaac Rankin got absolutely mauled by the umps this week. 50-metre penalty he gave up, which was there, obviously, and then it was like 6 frees against, so really unlucky if you had Rankin. It's a massive let-off for me as a non-owner. He's another one I am looking at, so break-even of 115 against Geelong. He'll probably hit that knowing him. But yeah, very interested in Rankin. I do think the Crows need him forward a bit more, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know how you went in the comments, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.